This video is about what it's like to be a student using Topical Storm. In a lot of schools, every student has a dashboard with icons that bring up the apps that they use. Topical Storm is just another app on the dashboard. Or if there's no dashboard, it would be a bookmark on a browser. The link for Topical Storm takes the student directly into their account. In this example, RJ Aubrey is the name of the teacher's website. The student is known as Space Traveler, which is always a made-up name for privacy, and the password is ST223. So let's say I'm Space Traveler, and I click this link. First it takes me to the teacher's website, and then it logs me directly in as Space Traveler. And because I don't have any essays yet, it asks me to start a new essay. So I'm going to choose Persuasive, and for now I'm going to just call it My Essay, because I can rename it later after I figure out what I want to write about. The left side is where it's going to ask me questions, and the right side is where the results will come out in the form of a transcript, organized notes, and a draft. And the first thing I notice is that there are these links in blue that will display information about the concepts that I'm hoping to learn about in order to write a persuasive essay. And it asks me to go back to this tab, Organized Notes, because that's where my output will appear. So let's click Next, and I see a set of questions. Which of these prompts do you want to write about? Now, 3 of these lead to sets of questions around topics that our 4th graders actually voted on as their favorite persuasive topics. And the 4th one says choose your own topic. So I'm going to choose that one, because what I'd like to write about is, do we learn better by reading or by watching videos? Something we've discussed in class. I'm interested in it. And the program gives me some sentence starters of different ways I can state my opinion. I'm going to choose this one, the better choice is. And I say, the better choice is reading. So now it gives me a number of questions about reading, and I'm going to select them all. I want to answer them all to get as much material as I can to build my essay. When I go next, I get the first question. What good thing will happen if we choose reading? When we read, we stop after every sentence to figure out what it means. When we watch a video, it can go by quickly and we might miss something. Now what the lesson is doing is it's putting my answers on the right side of the screen under categories. And it notices that the answer that I gave supports my opinion by cause and effect. And that's because of the nature of the question that it asked me. The way this persuasive lesson works is that it gives you questions of all different kinds, and then it tells you how your evidence, how your answer to the question, supports your opinion. One of the goals of these lessons is to get me to write more and to use descriptive language, so from time to time it asks me to elaborate on my answers. So I'll add a little bit more, and when I go next, it explains to me what I'm doing. It tells me that I'm supporting my opinion by cause and effect evidence in this case, and it gives me a link to get some information about what cause and effect means, and it's asking me to explain. It's showing me that the explanation is what's between my reason or my evidence and the opinion. So if I can understand all of that, I'll type in my explanation, and it gives me a sentence starter to keep me focused. Now the next question says, what bad thing will happen if we do not choose reading? Which is the converse of the previous one, what good thing will happen if we do? And it shows us that there are different ways to use cause and effect to support an opinion. And I type my answer to this question. So once again, I'm asked to explain what I mean. And it all gets recorded on the right side. So let's skip ahead and say that I've answered all of the questions that I wanted to. And I have all these different ways that I'm supporting my opinion. Some of them are interesting, like analogy. It asked me, compare reading to something in nature. And this is a good way to get me thinking out of the box, I guess. And I said, reading is like an animal sniffing the air and trying to figure out if there's danger. Watching a video is more like interacting with the other animals. There's no time to think when you're already part of the action. And then it asked me some more questions like, what are the similarities? And what are the differences? And then it said, explain, just like for the other questions. And I said, this comparison shows that by using fewer senses, we're able to think better. And that's an idea that it took me these questions in order to think through and to come up with a new idea for my essay. Notice that I can look back over my work by clicking on the sentences that I created. And I can edit and the changes appear on the right. So let me position back to the end of the answers I gave and go next. And there's one more question. How would you like to restate your opinion at the conclusion of the essay? And as before, it gives me some sentence starters. This is an important issue for all of us because, and it gives me a chance to round out my essay by putting my personal take on the whole thing. So it's recorded all of my thinking, and the questions it asked me helped me to come up with some ideas that I may not have thought of if I had that blank piece of paper to deal with. Meanwhile, it's created a draft, which is the same answers in pretty much the same order, and I can copy this text into a Google Doc if I want to. But the thing to point out to students is that because they have this automatically created draft, that doesn't mean they're done. There's still a lot of work to do. This is a pre-writing tool, and in the next video, we'll show how the teacher can open this essay and add comments to it, and the student can respond by editing it, adding more writing devices, improving the vocabulary and the wording and the voice until they think it's a good enough first draft.